The first UFC fight ever was just held on the White House lawn, and whether you loved it or hated it, it doesn't matter. Because the real lesson isn't about fighting, it's about getting attention. And the UFC just gave a master class on how to become impossible to ignore that every business owner should pay attention to. Before we get started, my name is Cam Smith and I'm an experienced architect, and I help business owners create live events that gain them authority, revenue, and new clients, because I believe that over the next decade, the businesses that understand how to build live experiences around their communities are going to be the ones who dominate over the next 10 years. So here are my 5 lessons from the UFC fight. Number 1, controversy is an attention multiplier. Look, the event was not loved by everyone. Even the president is not loved by everyone. Half the country loves him, half the country hates him. However, everyone talks about him. Everyone talked about this event, and that's exactly why it worked. Most people create events that everyone's gonna love. But the people who really win understand that a little bit of controversy sometimes is okay because it sparks conversation. Conversation leads to attention, and attention leads to opportunity. So are you creating events that are going to be loved by everyone? And what do we also know to be true? When you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. Or are you creating events that you know are going to spark some conversation, because that's where the real gold is going to be found? Lesson number 2, and I love this one. The venue became the story. Throughout the entire night, they're telling the story of the White House. They're telling the story of U.S. history and how it relates to UFC and combat style fighting. And they're painting this narrative the entire time through of what America stands for as a country. If you get people wrapped around a mission, a vision, and a story, the impact is going to be unmeasurable. Most organizers think the venue is just where the event's going to be held, but elite event organizers understand that the venue becomes part of the event. The White House wasn't a backdrop, it was the headline. The next lesson is that people don't buy events, they buy stories. Look, nobody's gonna sit around telling their grandkids, oh yeah, I watched UFC 250. But they will say, I watched the very first UFC fight at the White House. And that story right there beats the ticket value. Most people putting on events think that the value that attendees are going to receive from attending their event is the selling point, but really it's the stories, it's the connection, it's the belonging that are going to actually add more value to your event and distinguish you from everyone else. The next lesson is that attention comes before the revenue. Listen, money follows attention. Too many times people are thinking about the revenue that they want from the event first and not realizing that if nobody knows who you are, if nobody knows what you do, if nobody even knows your event exists, and you can't create a strong enough, compelling reason of why they should attend, you're not selling a single ticket, and you're definitely not gonna back end it with any offers, because you can't even get people in the door in the first place. Attention supersedes all of it. The UFC understood that if they dominate attention, revenue follows. Meanwhile, most businesses are trying to sell before they even have any attention. And the last lesson, I believe this one is the biggest. Nobody owes you attention. The UFC didn't receive attention because they're the UFC. They received attention because they built something that was impossible to ignore. And that's the lesson that every business owner needs to understand. The number one enemy that every business is facing right now is not your competitor down the street. It's being in obscurity and not enough people knowing that you exist. Odds are you haven't built or aren't building something big enough to demand attention. The biggest problem most business owners are facing right now is thinking they have a marketing problem, because most of them don't. It's an attention problem. You could have the best product, best service, best team, but if no one knows you exist, they can't do business with you. And that's why breaking out of obscurity, which is the number one silent killer of most businesses, that's why breaking out of that and getting attention and getting known and being the go-to authority in your marketplace is so important. I truly believe that live experiences are one of the best ways to do this, because you can have a captivated audience that you can have a direct connection and impact with. And you have a moment in time where you get to create an experience, and the stories coming from that experience are going to be the ones that are going to keep your brand top of mind over the next 10 years. You see, the UFC was not about fighting for this event. It was about getting attention. And there were so many lessons packed in this event that business owners can take away and implement in their own business, so that way they can continue to have success as well. So if that resonates with you, hit that subscribe button, because every week we're going to break down events, things going on in culture that you can benefit from to be able to take your business to the next level. And believe me, we're just getting started.